Do you remember when you were first learning to drive and whoever was teaching you said, make sure to keep your hands at 10 and 2? Although now I've heard it's changed and it's 9 and 3 because that's safer or something. And they said, make sure to leave 2 car lengths between you and the car in front of you in case they slam on their brakes, and that way you don't rear end them. And for a while, you paid attention to those best practices, those parameters religiously. And then fast forward 5, 10 years, and you're steering with your knees and taking a Zoom call and putting your mascara on in the rear view mirror. Style is much like driving. When you're first learning a new skill, those parameters are helpful because they help you feel successful right away. But then as you get a little bit more comfortable with the skill, then you can feel free to break those rules. So just recently, 2 private coaching clients said to me, I know we're not supposed to wear midi skirts or midi dresses, but which prompted a terrific conversation that I thought you guys could get a lot out of. So, what we're going to talk about today are the 5 style techniques that petites can have in their toolbox for those times where they want to either buy or wear a midi skirt or midi dress, and how to ensure that it's still the most flattering outfit possible. I'm Angela, your petite style coach, and when you're ready, let's jump in. Before we get into the nitty gritty of midi length, I think now is probably a good time just to level set what our goal is when it comes to great petite style. And that is not to look taller, because there's a lot of short girls who like being short. But what it is to not do anything unintentionally that's going to chop up our vertical line and make us look shorter. Because so many times when we look shorter than we are, we actually look wider also. And that's one of the reasons why we talk about mini and maxi dresses and skirts so often, is because they're just easy. It's so much easier for petites to make those look flattering. I mean, there's very few people who would look at this picture of Natalie Portman and think, oh, she's 5'3". She's definitely petite, right? Because you look at where her dress nips in at the waist and all the way down to her toes, and her legs look like they go on and on forever. The other thing is that's really flattering about this dress is that the hemline falls right underneath the widest part of her thigh, which is going to be the most flattering length for all women, petites especially. Maxis are super easy too, because again, there's nothing to interrupt that, like our vertical real estate. If you look at this though, I mean, again, very few people would look at this picture of Zoe Kravitz unless they knew and said, oh, she's like super short. She's 5'2". So, but the reason why is she does 2 things that are super smart. And one of them is the low contrast shoe color. That shoe color is very similar to her skin tone, so there's nothing to interrupt the length. The second thing she does is the material. And while the material is like full coverage from shoulders to hem, it just hints at her body shape underneath, so it doesn't unintentionally add any width. So, all of that to say, midi length can sometimes be more challenging. Not for you, not after we go over the next tips, but you can see here that sometimes, like, this is an easy look to think of and say, oh, it looks great. And it does when you're 6 feet tall, but you look at the cream colored top with the khaki skirt and then the black boots. And if she wasn't 6 feet tall, she would definitely look shorter and wider. So this is what we want to avoid, is to chop us up prematurely. We just don't have enough vertical real estate to afford that. Now, are there workarounds? Of course there are. And there are 2 petites who wear midi length all the time and who do it exceptionally well. The first one is Victoria Beckham, who is 5'4", I believe. And the other one is Sarah Jessica Parker, and she's 5'2" or 5'3", I can't remember. So I thought it would be fun to look at pictures of some of their previous outfits and figure out what they did to make them so flattering. So the first one, when it comes to color, is go monochromatic or tonal if possible. So tonal in this case, because we have the deep dark navy blue paired with black boots. So when you do something that's tonal or monochromatic, what you're really doing is creating this amazing column of color that makes you look so much longer than you actually are. The second thing she did here, it's not on the slide, but the second thing that she did here that was super savvy was the fact that there's no interruption from the hem of her skirt to her boots. So it just keeps going on and on. You can imagine what it would look like, how it would be different if a little bit of her skin tone showed between the boots and the skirt. So again, a beautiful example of using a column of color. The second thing to keep in mind when looking at midi dresses is the neckline. Now, anytime that a petite can wear a V-neck neckline, it's going to be super flattering, especially if your bust or your décolleté or your collarbones happen to be your favorite feature, because we know that that does a beautiful job accentuating that. Now, before we move on, if you don't know what your favorite feature is, if you haven't picked it out yet, or if you haven't done the Petite body shape quiz, at some point in time today, try to jump on over and take that. It's super fast, but some of these pieces that we're talking about will make a lot more sense. And I'll make sure to put the link in the video description below so that it's easy for you just to hop on over. So again, the V-neck helps accentuate, like if her bust was her favorite feature. The other thing that it does is that it creates this open and airiness up on top, which helps reinforce the illusion that we're trying to create of long and lean. Okay, tip number 3. If you can match your dress to your tights and your shoes, or your dress to your boots, it's going to be a super flattering look. What I like about this, though, is that it's not super matchy-matchy, but what they are their low contrast colors. So there's not a lot of contrast between the dress and the hose and the shoes. So it almost is a similar thought process to the monochromatic column of color. So that's a super flattering look. And I wanted to say one more thing about this outfit, and that is volume. Now, when we talk about, this is a little bit different than when we talk about volume when it comes to body shape, right? Because once you know what your body shape is, you know where you want to add volume and you know where you want to avoid volume. But in this particular case, it's the weight of the material and the difference that this outfit would look had it been in something else. So just for a second, imagine if the midi-length dress, instead of the lightweight material that it's in, instead if it was like a thick, heavy crepe de chine that was stiff and didn't have any movement. And then imagine it was paired with a duster, same length. So now we have 2 big layers that's like denim or corduroy. That would have made her look so much wider, added so much volume, where instead, because of the fabric choice, it's flowy, it's airy, and again, it hints at her body shape underneath without revealing any skin. Okay, definition. So, and this is an exaggerated version, but I thought it was super helpful because we talk about definition a lot. So, we have this incredible waistline that goes from her, like underneath her bust, all the way to her hip bones. So imagine this outfit if she didn't have that exaggerated waistline, and if it was straight line from shoulders to the middle of her calves. That would have added so much volume to her body. She would have looked a lot wider. The thing that I think is just interesting about this outfit is she has the really oversized men's wear top and then the exaggerated volume underneath the yoke of the skirt, paired with the exaggerated definition at the waist. So it helps balance it all out and is a super savvy outfit. Yours obviously doesn't need to be this dramatic. It can be as subtle as empire waist dress, or maybe same material belt on a wrap dress. Any kind of definition helps create that illusion of length that petites are going for. Tip number 6, tailored styles. Anytime you can find a midi dress in a clean, minimalist style, it's going to lend itself to be more flattering. So imagine this dress, instead of having the very straight skirt, if it was a full skirt with lots of material and lots of volume and all of that, how much different this outfit would look. Second thing, and I didn't put it on the slide, but it's something to keep in mind, is that she shows a little bit of skin. This is especially great, this halter style, if you love your shoulders and arms, and if that's your favorite feature, what a terrific way to show it off. The other thing is that with petites, when we start to get a lot of material, it's always helpful and more flattering if we can just show a hint of skin so that it hints at the body shape underneath. And finally, shoes. Now, we talk about shoes a lot, especially when we're wanting to accentuate our legs. This one here, though, is so incredibly helpful because pencil skirts are going to be super popular this coming up season. So it's a good tool to have in our petite style toolbox. Now, what you'll notice about her shoes is that they are very similar to her skin tone, and they have the pointed toe, which creates the illusion that her legs just go on and on for miles and miles. If you look at her, there's very few people that would see this picture of Victoria Beckham and think, oh, she's only 5'4". Between the waistline and the point of her toes, it's incredibly flattering. So keep that shoe tip in mind, no matter what you're wearing. Okay, let's just do a quick recap. Color is critical when it comes to midi-length anything. So think tonal, monochromatic, or low contrast. Number 2, keep in mind the volume of the material, and if it can be lighter weight and more flowy and just hint at your body shape underneath, the better off we are. If possible, match our dress, our tights, and our shoes, or our dress and our boots, whichever the case may be. Number 4, keep in mind styles and silhouettes. Make sure we have some definition. The more tailored it is, the better. And of course, always keep in mind the neckline. And then of course, shoes, flesh colored or pointed toe are going to be the best. Now, before we wrap up, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on a petite style tip. And of course, if you have any questions, pop them in below and I will get back to you as fast as possible. Instead of trying to do all of those things, it's easiest and it'll be fastest for you just to pick one. Now, when you're picking the one, see if you can find one that flatters your body shape, that accentuates your favorite feature, and is a good mix with your own personal style. All right, that is all for now. Until next time, have fun and stay stylish. Bye-bye.